Imagine a world where the grid has gone down, society as we know it has collapsed, and you're one of the few who prepared. Your pantry is stocked with canned goods, you've got a rainwater collection system in place, and your bug-out bag is packed and ready. But what about the rest of the world? Those who didn't prepare, the non-preppers, they're out there, and their desperation could lead to danger. In a post-SHTF world that's shit hits the fan for the uninitiated, you're not just facing the stark reality of survival against the elements, but also the desperation of those who failed to prepare. The grocery stores are empty, the water supply is contaminated or cut off, and the rule of law might just be a distant memory. For non-preppers, this is a nightmare scenario, and their desperation could make them a threat to your survival. Imagine your neighbor, the one who always laughed off your survivalist ways, now knocking on your door, hungry, thirsty, and desperate. Or the family down the road with their young kids who never thought they'd need a stockpile of food and water. They're unprepared, scared, and they could pose a risk to the safety and security you've worked hard to establish. In this new world, your skills, your preparations, they make you a target. There's no 911 to call, no police to enforce the law. It's just you, your wits, and whatever you've managed to squirrel away against the odds. The non-preppers, they'll be looking to you for help, or they might be looking to take what you have. But this isn't a hopeless scenario. With the right knowledge, the right strategies, you can navigate these challenges and keep yourself and maybe even your community safe and alive. It's not just about survival, but also about maintaining humanity in a world that's lost its way. The key to survival? Knowing how to handle non-preppers in such dire situations. Recognizing non-preppers is the first step in navigating a post-apocalyptic world. Now, let's talk about how to identify those who are unprepared. Non-preppers can often be distinguished by their lack of supplies. They may not have the necessary food, water, or equipment, which can leave them in a vulnerable position. Moreover, these individuals may lack the knowledge and survival skills that are essential in a post-apocalyptic setting. They may not know how to start a fire, find food, or even defend themselves. This lack of understanding can make them a potential danger to themselves and others around them. These non-preppers can pose a threat due to their desperation. When survival is at stake, people can become unpredictable and dangerous. They may resort to stealing, violence, or other desperate measures to survive. It's crucial to be aware of this potential danger and plan accordingly. Remember, desperate people do desperate things. Be cautious. Now that we've identified non-preppers, how do we handle them? Well, there are several strategies one can employ when encountering non-preppers in a post-apocalyptic world. Each approach has its merits, and the choice ultimately depends on the specific situation at hand. Remember, the goal is to ensure your own safety and survival first and foremost. Firstly, there's avoidance. This is often the simplest and safest strategy. Non-preppers can be unpredictable and desperate. They may not have the skills or supplies to survive, which could make them a potential threat. By staying out of their way, you minimize the risk of conflict and ensure your resources aren't compromised. However, avoidance isn't always feasible. In such instances, negotiation can be a valuable tool. If a non-prepper is seeking help or resources, it might be possible to strike a deal that benefits both parties. Maybe they have a skill or item that you need, or they can provide labor in exchange for food or supplies. But tread carefully here. Always ensure any agreement doesn't put you at risk. Cooperation is another strategy, particularly when dealing with larger groups of non-preppers. Together, you might be able to accomplish tasks that would be impossible alone. Pooling resources and skills can increase the chances of survival for everyone involved. Just be cautious about who you trust and how much you reveal about your own preparedness. Remember, each situation is unique and requires careful assessment. It's essential to remain vigilant and ready to adapt your approach as needed. The post-apocalyptic world is unpredictable, and people can be even more so. Always prioritize your safety and make decisions based on what will give you the best chance of survival. In the end, dealing with non-preppers is an inevitable part of surviving in a post-apocalyptic world. By employing strategies like avoidance, negotiation, and cooperation, you can navigate these interactions effectively. Just remember to stay flexible and prepared for anything. In a world turned upside down, managing your interactions with non-preppers could mean the difference between life and death. Helping others is a part of human nature, but in a survival situation, It's a decision that needs careful consideration. In a post-apocalyptic world, you might come across non-preppers who are struggling to survive. The question is, should you help them? On one hand, there's the moral aspect. We're wired to help each other out. It's what makes us human. On the other hand, there's the practical side. You've planned and prepared for the worst, but resources are finite. Every ounce of food, every drop of water you share, that's less for you and your group. Let's delve into this. There's no denying the moral dilemma. Seeing others suffer, especially when you have the means to help, can be gut-wrenching. However, one must also remember that survival isn't a team sport. It's every man for himself. That's not being cold-hearted, it's being realistic. But here's the thing, helping others isn't entirely altruistic. There are practical benefits too. For starters, more hands mean more work done. Tasks like gathering food, keeping watch, maintaining the shelter become easier with more people. It's also an opportunity to cultivate alliances, which can come in handy when faced with hostile groups. However, there are risks involved. Non-preppers might not have the same mindset as you. They might not understand the importance of rationing or maintaining a low profile. Their actions could attract unwanted attention or deplete resources faster. It's a gamble. So, how do you strike a balance between altruism and self-preservation? The answer lies in careful selection. It's not about turning your back on everyone, but choosing who to help based on their potential to contribute. Non-preppers with useful skills like medical knowledge or mechanical expertise can be worth the resources spent on them. It's also crucial to set boundaries. Make it clear that your help isn't unconditional. If they want to be a part of your group, they need to abide by the rules and pull their weight. Helping others can be risky, but it can also be rewarding. The key lies in making smart decisions. In a post-SHTF world, knowledge is power. Now, let's talk about something that's often overlooked: educating non-preppers. It's no secret that people who aren't prepared for a disaster can become a significant burden on those of us who are. But there's a solution to that problem, and it's simpler than you might think. Teach them. That's right, folks. Knowledge is the most valuable commodity in a post-disaster situation. It's the one thing that can't be taken away from you. And by sharing it with others, you're not just helping them, you're helping yourself. How? Well, think about it. If you teach non-preppers how to become self-sufficient, they won't be as reliant on you for resources. That means you'll have more to go around for yourself and your loved ones. So, what should you teach them? Well, there's a whole host of basic survival skills that can be invaluable in a disaster situation. Things like how to purify water, how to start a fire, how to forage for food, or even basic first aid. These are all skills that can make a huge difference in a person's ability to survive. But don't just stop there. Teach them about the importance of being prepared. Show them how to build an emergency kit. Explain the value of having a plan in place. And most importantly, help them understand that being prepared isn't about living in fear. It's about taking control of your own safety and security. It's about being proactive rather than reactive. Remember, teaching non-preppers isn't just a kind gesture. It's a strategic move that can reduce the burden on preppers in the long run. It's about creating a community of self-reliant individuals who can support each other in times of crisis. So let's not underestimate the power of education. In a world where resources are scarce and uncertainty is the only certainty, knowledge truly is power. By teaching non-preppers, you're not just helping them, you're helping yourself. Surviving in a post-apocalyptic world involves more than just stocking up on supplies. It's about understanding the landscape, identifying those who may not have prepared, and knowing how to interact with them. We've walked through the process of recognizing non-preppers, dealing with potential threats they may bring, and the importance of extending a helping hand when possible. Remember, non-preppers aren't necessarily your enemies. They can be valuable allies if guided properly. By educating them, we not only increase their chances of survival, but also strengthen our own community. It's about fostering a culture of preparedness, a mindset that will stand the test of time, no matter what the world throws at us. However, always maintain a balance. Help where you can, but never at the expense of your own survival. In a time of crisis, every decision, every interaction is pivotal. In a world where survival is the ultimate goal, every interaction matters. Make yours count.